So to try and figure out how can we factor a polynomial. Now, when we're determining the possible factors of a polynomial, what we have to concern ourselves with is the first coefficient, the number in front of the largest degree, and the last number. Now, there's a whole mathematical theory and explanation which I'm not going to get into. If you're concerned, you can come talk to me and I can show it to you. But what we're concerned about is if we think about getting this last number 6 here, what we had to do is we had to multiply the terms. So let's imagine that this is factored into 3 terms. So we're going to have one bracket, a second bracket, and a third bracket, because we're going to have a cube here. And we know if we have x cubed, we're going to have an x here, an x here, and an x here. And if you remember when we expanded out a cubic, it's going to be really, really messy. But what's going to happen, and this is always going to be true, is to get this first number, we had to multiply x times x times x, gives us x cubed. To get this last value, we had to multiply whatever term is in here, and whatever term is in here, and whatever term is in here to equal -6. So what that means is it's the factors of this last number that could possibly go in here. There's no way this could be a 12 and a 13 and an 18 because we're not going to multiply to -6. So it's just the factors that could go in there. So what we're concerned about is the factors of the last constant. And the possible factors of 6, if we think about these possible factors of 6, is to get 6, we'd have to go 1 times 6 or 2 times 3. So the only factors of 6 are 1, 2, 3, and 6. Now, we could actually have plus or minus 1, 2, 3, or 6. Those are the only possible values. So those are the only possible factors of 6. And those are the only possible values for the factor of our polynomial. So I'm going to say that again. These factors are the only possible values that would factor this polynomial. If none of these work, the polynomial is not factorable. So these are the values we have to check. So we don't have to check every single number in the world. It's only these possible factors. Now that's if there's no coefficient in front here. If the coefficient is 1, it's just the factors of the last number. Now what if we have a polynomial such as this one down here, where we have a coefficient in the front and a constant at the back? Well, it's the same idea. What we do is we take the factors of the last number, that b value, which would be plus or minus 1 and plus or minus 3, and this time it's going to be divided by the factors of the first number, plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2. So what is that going to look like? That means the only possible values are plus or minus 1 over plus or minus 1, plus or minus 3 over plus or minus 1. That's using plus or minus 1 as the denominator. And then we could use plus or minus 2 as the denominator, keeping the numerators the same as they were before. So we could have plus or minus 1 over plus or minus 2, or plus or minus 3 over plus or minus 2. Now again, that looks like it's a lot of numbers, but these double plus and minuses just become a single one. So the only possible terms that are going to work is 1 divided by 1, of course, is 1. 3 divided by 1 is 3. 1 divided by 2 just becomes plus or minus 1/2, and plus or minus 3 over 2. That right there is going to tell you that these are the only possible values. Now, it's not that it makes it necessarily a whole lot easier, because now there are 8 possible factors. but it does eliminate all of the other numbers in the world and just restrict it to these values. So that's what we want to do if we're trying to factor a polynomial, to determine what the possible factors are.